Hey, good afternoon, everybody. Eric Christopher here. Most of the time, you see me here doing the Everything Apartments podcast, and many of you know I manage apartment complexes at my firm WSC Realty Advisors. I've also been a broker for almost 20 years here in town. Today, I'm doing a quick little video to share a great new listing we're bringing to market right here in Long Beach. But first, a disclaimer. Information contained in the document you're going to see here and any other means of presentation, including this video, consists of both verified and unverified data and estimates. All the information here comes from sources deemed reliable, but neither WSC Realty Advisors Incorporated nor Eric Christopher warranty the accuracy or validity of any of the information. Buyers of any real property are encouraged to verify all information by conducting a thorough due diligence process during the contractual phase of the transaction and to engage their own third-party experts to assist them in the process. This is 1222 East 10th Street, right in central Long Beach. Not a huge thoroughfare like 7th Street in Anaheim, but it's 10th Street's a east-west artery, and this sits just east of Orange Avenue. What you'll find here on the 10 units, there are 6 studio units and 4 one-bedrooms. Now, the interesting part about the studios is 3 of them are what a lot of people call a junior one-bedroom unit. So there's an extra room, but it's not quite a one-bedroom. Those units should garner a little more rent than a typical studio would. The current ownership has had this building heck since I started in the business. They were one of actually the first few prospects that I ever met, and I've kept in touch with them for almost the 20 years I've been in the business and know this asset very well. It's been professionally managed through the time that I've known them, and the occupancy has stayed very high. I looked at their occupancy trend for the last 10 years, and they run about a 2% vacancy. Now, the unit interiors, many of them have been upgraded. We haven't been inside the units to kind of preview the condition, and it indicates here the ownership just finished doing a major exterior preservation and paint project. The property looks beautiful. As you enter the courtyard, you can see that near the back, there are 2 upstairs units. They have converted the electrical. They converted from a master meter roll to separate meters. They put brand new sub panels in each unit. And I guess there's room for expansion in those sub meters if, in fact, like ownership wanted to add another electrical circuit inside the unit. And as you can see here, it's about as smack dab in the middle of central Long Beach as possible. So there's lots of commuting options, whether it be public transit or access to the highways going north, south, east, and west, really obviously close to the port and the bridges that would take you over to the South Bay. So the location is about as central as there is. As I mentioned, the property has been professionally managed from the beginning of when I've known them, probably in the way of close to 20 years. It's very well maintained. It's very clean. See, it's a traditional courtyard property where you enter through the middle, and the units run down side and the rear. As you can see, there's the interior courtyard and going all the way back into the breezeway where the 2 units sit above. A small value add piece is that as exploring the rear of the property, there is a rather large water heater storage room where it's not being used, as you can see kind of in the bottom right photo there. There hasn't really been anything done with that. Convenience there could be converted into a laundry room. There's plenty of space. The great news is the water heater and plenty of water supply is right there. Probably be the only challenge would be installing the drain line, which wouldn't be that prohibitive, but if you could net another $150 or $175 a month, it'd probably be well worth it in the break-even period of doing that. Now, looking at the rent roll, the first thing I want to point out is since I have not measured the actual size of the units, I kind of put placeholders in the approximate square foot. But as I mentioned, 3 of those studio units have larger space than probably the standard studio. So take those kind of with a grain of salt for now until we get in there and measure. There is good income coming in already. So I want you to take your eyes over to the right side. I did get a report from the current manager that indicates that 5 of those units eligible for a rent increase immediately. By all indication, what I see out in the market, $500 to $600 a month increase in your net is not out of the question. Let's take a quick look at the overall numbers. Right now, the in-place cap rate, that is the return on investment if you bought the property for cash, is a common commercial real estate barometer of return. Most of you know that, but simply stated, 6.37% is pretty darn attractive. Now, if you add it in, 500 extra dollars a month, that's going to do nothing but make that look better. The current GRM right in there around 10 and a quarter. Again, if you did those rent increases, you're going to see that kind of dip down a bit to where you're, in the way to achieve about a 7% cap rate without too much time going by. Now, obviously, right now, the lending scenario has been in flux. Not that it's directly correlated to an apartment loan, but I'm hearing rumors that the Fed's going to maybe take the rates down next month. I don't know, 10 to 20 basis points, which would do nothing but help the apartment lenders maybe justify bringing down their spreads a little in order to get perhaps a better interest rate than we have quoted here. Now, I did this quote with a lending agent, of colleague of mine, about a month ago, and that may just slightly less than that right now, but that would be something to obviously check on as we get into a discussion about this property. Now, over to the right, we've got the current scheduled gross income. Market Performa does take into account all the units, the 10 units that would be increased over the next year. That's kind of where you could land yourself. Currently, obviously, garage and laundry is zero, but if you added that laundry income, there shouldn't be any reason why you couldn't increase the net income with the laundry itself by $150, maybe $180 a month, which would again help that cap rate get toward the 7 or better sooner than later. There aren't really any extraordinary expenses that you wouldn't see on other properties. The insurance obviously has been a challenge for all of us for a few years now. Utilities being both separately metered, not a whole lot of surprises there. Repairs and maintenance, that's a number that the lender underwrites at, so $750 per unit per year. You may experience a little less. Obviously, we know that maintenance conundrum is very much a swinging pendulum, where you may go a year and have very little, and then obviously it does swing back. So the lenders earmark that line item at about $750 per unit. If you manage, or you have the building managed outside, that's about what you're looking at on a 5%. Now, the landscaping, to me, if I look at the property, there isn't a whole lot of landscape maintenance to do. I don't really think that $100 a month is really necessary. I think if it were my building, I might approach my favorite tenant and say, hey, look, could I give you a little rent credit to just keep those planters clean and maybe trimmed up? I would imagine somebody'd be willing to do that for maybe $60 a month. So that'd be something to look at. Pest control, licensing fees we all have to pay. The in-place cap rate has all the legitimate expenses in it at 6.37 and possibly a little higher. The property would make a great 1031 exchange upleg. At its price point at $1,695,000, it could fit into a lot of equations of people getting out of, let's say, a 4-unit or another building that's slightly smaller than this. The sellers are going to sell this building, and they're looking for a solid buyer. I'd love to get you a copy of this offering memorandum. If you have any other questions, please give me a call. Obviously, my name and phone number is right here on the screen in front of you, and I appreciate your consideration. Look forward to talking to you about 1222 East 10th Street, 10 units in Central London.